Another question. The gentleman there with the yellow tie.
Right. Interesting experience that I had recently. I went to a dinner organised by the Bangladeshi caterers in this country, and Damien Green was there. And I took the opportunity of actually talking about immigration to this country. We had a meeting today of the Restaurant Association, where we have been told that now chefs from outside the EU will have to be paid at a level of £28,000 a year in order to qualify for entry to this country. Now it's ridiculous. We have a fantastically successful ethnic sector in our restaurant industry here. Now, there aren't many chefs that get paid £28,000 or more. It's going to kill this sector off. I actually stood up at the meeting in the House of Lords, and I said, why are you being so duplicitous about this situation? You cannot control immigration from within the EU. You're trying to hit various successful sectors of industry in this country which employ an enormous number of people, and our figures show that for every chef you bring in, you generate 12 jobs in the UK. And he stood up afterwards and said, it's the first time I've ever heard a member of UKIP argue for more immigration, which is not quite what I'd said. What do you think?
Well, the first thing to say is I think Damien Green is so typical of the modern politician. I call them the insipids. You know, I mean, there is no personality, there is no belief, there is no passion, and increasingly, when you look at those three parties, it really is the bland leading the bland, and my goodness me, Green is in that category. I think he's absolutely ghastly, the bloke, but there we are. He loves me too, but there we are. Richard, you're right. I mean, look, I didn't mention immigration in my speech, but immigration is absolutely a fundamental question. Because since Labour came to power, an extra 3.2 million people have settled in what is already the most overcrowded country in Europe, and that's the 3.2 million that we know about. So goodness only knows what the true figure is. We have seen such rapid change in virtually every city and market town in this country. I mean, and I was one of only 3 British MEPs that voted against a total open door to the whole of Eastern Europe. The other 2 were also UKIP MEPs. And we were told at the time, if you remember, by David Blunkett, who was the Home Secretary, although perhaps his overactive social life at the time was clouding his mind, I don't know. But we were told by David Blunkett that this would lead to an increase of 13,000 people a year, and within the first 2 years, 800,000 people came. It is insane. So what we're now doing is we are now not letting into the country the kind of people that we should be letting into the country. People who've got skills and people who've got something to bring, in favour of an open door to any Romanian or Bulgarian criminal gang that wants to enter the country. I mean, that is absolutely mad. We have had an oversupply in the unskilled labour market since 2005. That at a time of rising unemployment is an incredibly stupid thing to do. And I think that the penny is dropping. The great British public are realising that you cannot have your own immigration, asylum policy and remain a member of this European Union. That message is getting through. I think it's desperately important that we as a party make it clear that we want proper border controls, that we're very happy to issue work permits to people who want to come to this country. But long term, the only sane immigration policy that Britain should adopt is the one that Australia adopts, where if you're prepared to go in, swear your oath of allegiance, conform, become part of their society, work hard, pay taxes and add skills, they want you, and if you don't qualify for any of that, then please sling your hook. That's the way the Aussies do it. They're quite right. And I just want to finish with one point.
Not anymore, we don't.
Well, is that why you've come here?
Well, we've got a Welsh Prime Minister, that's all.
Well, you have, I have to say, that I thought John Howard,
Exactly.
I thought John Howard was the best, most inspirational leader in the Western world for those 4 terms he served as your Prime Minister. He was a damn sight better than the Howard we had in this country, but there we are. No, he really was wonderful. But one thing to note, there is going to be a very significant change in the social security rules in this country on May the 1st this year. To date, if you've come in from the European Union since '04 and you've worked for 12 months and paid your stamp and your taxes for 12 months, you've been entitled after that period of time to the full range of benefits within the system, which of course has meant that 43,000 children in Warsaw have been getting child benefit, which hasn't pleased everybody. And then you can bring your family and everything else. From May the 1st, anybody that comes into this country from any EU country with no upper limit on numbers qualifies automatically from day one to the same range of social security benefits that all of you have. That is absolutely mad. Absolutely mad. And we will make this a big political issue, and our view, our opinion, is that you should not be entitled to the full range of social security provisions that this country provides until you've been here as a law-abiding, tax-paying person for a minimum period of 5 years.
The young gentleman there.
How do you feel about AV reform and taking this beneficiary to UKIP as a whole?
Can't hear you. The question was, how do we feel about the AV voting referendum, and wouldn't it be a benefit to UKIP? I think that's pretty much right. Look, we're having the wrong referendum on May the 5th. We should be having a referendum on our membership of the European Union. We should be having a referendum on the thing that Clegg and Cameron and everybody else has promised us, but we haven't got that. We should, if we're talking about voting reform, be having a referendum on the AV Plus system. Because when Blair set up the commission to examine all of this under Roy Jenkins, that was Roy Jenkins' proposal. In fact, it's the only thing I've ever agreed with Roy Jenkins about in my life. Because, well, that's true, but keep that quiet. I'm mad at the people tonight. So, we as a party would like the AV Plus system, because you would keep the benefit of the man or woman that represents Guildford, for argument's sake, plus there would be an incentive for everybody in the country to go down and vote. I mean, even if you're a socialist living in Esher, or a high Tory living in Sheffield, with a second ballot paper, you at least would feel you could engage in the process. So that is a system that we like. It's the system, of course, that the Germans have used since 1945. I mean, who would have thought the Germans could teach us a thing or two about democracy? There we are. And that's what we would have approved of. But it isn't what we've got. What we've got before us is the second ever national referendum, and it is, do we maintain first past the post, or do we move towards AV? The first past the post system worked wonderfully in a two-party state.